What is up, everyone? I'm Rusty, your local laboratory maniac, and this is Labman EDH. I'm here with the facts. We finally find out some of the answers to the biggest questions in Commander for this year. Who is the most popular commander? What is the most popular color? The most popular tribe? What is the best set or deck strategy? And what is the most salt inducing card in EDH? We will find it all through EDHREC statistics. Then I'll apply it to my own deck collection, and you got to do the same. Are you an average planeswalker or are you a trendsetter? You will be shocked by the results. We need to lay down some ground rules. There's a famous quote that comes to mind when I'm doing all this data collection from EDHREC. There are three types of lies, damn lies, and statistics, meaning statistics can be misleading. So I'll attempt to minimize the skewing of the data. We will only be taking the top 10 commanders of each color identity and adding the deck numbers together. This is because monocolor legends are way higher in number than multicolor legends. As you can see, there's 302 white legendary creatures. If you were to add the color red, it drops down to 114 for Boros. We will not be counting four color commanders. Some don't even have 10 commanders to their color identity, which skews the results. And outside one or two cards, most have less than 1,000 decks, with some exceptions, of course, like Atraxa and Omnath and so on. I will give a list of the top 10 of each color identity. I'll include the most popular commander and a picture of it, and I'll also include the most popular commander printed this year. EDHREC kind of takes 2 years of statistics and gathers them together. So I wanted to include this year printing most popular just so you know what the trend is in Magic. And keep in mind, I'm not doing reprints, I'm only doing first unique printing of that card. And then we're going to have on the screen the price, the salt level, and the total number of decks of each deck in the top 10. I will attempt to interpret some of this data, but it is just my opinion. If you agree or disagree, let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to read and discuss it. Now, I know this is going to be controversial, but here's the most salty cards in 2025 just to get them out of the way. The salt score is a max of 4. So Stasis has the highest salt score of any card in EDH, a 3.06. The next is Winter Orb, which is a 2.96, which I'm not a big fan of stacks, so I get it. You can see that the deck lists or the decks that include them are pretty low. So that's the rule 0 in action there. VV is the third one, and it is a brand new card that has made it to the top 10 salty list. I didn't expect that, but that's pretty interesting. It is no surprise, I'm sure, that the least popular color identity is colorless. It's number 27 on our list, with a total of 51,514 decks, with Zuladoc Void Gorger being the most popular with nearly 20k decks. But notice, the drop from him to Kozilek is a 14k drop, a huge difference. Ultima Origin of Oblivion is the most popular colorless commander that was released this year, at fourth place on the top 10 colorless list with nearly 4,000 decks. Now, colorless is hard to design, but honestly, I think there's more room for it than just Eldrazi. Wizard of the Coast doesn't really explore this area that much. They're too busy exploring monocolor or pairings or shards. The 26th spot on our list is actually a surprise to me. It's a two color combination, Selesnya. There are a total of 73,837 decks. All salt scores are under 1, so no one's really afraid to face this color combination. Sithis Harvest Hand is the most popular commander with 12,690 decks. She is very powerful, so there's really no surprise there. What does surprise me is the most popular Selesnya commander from this year is Yuna Hope of Spira, the 25th most popular Selesnya commander with 2,677 decks. So you have to go all the way down to the 25th spot on this specific color identity, that's kind of insane. That tells me that Wizards of the Coast really isn't investing into this color pairing. There's a lot of cool ways you can go about it, but they're just not doing it. White is the next color ranked number 25, and I'm not very surprised by this. There is a notion, at least from what I have seen, that white is a weak color, but honestly, it has upped its game the last 5 years or so. It has 78,388 decks total. It's got, angels, tokens, and equipment represented on the list, with angels being the number one spot. Giada, Font of Hope, is the commander to those angel decks typically. She has 26,682, being the most popular commander in mono white. The next being Light Paws, which is about 10k, which is a huge drop. What's that, like a 16,000 deck number drop? Anti Venom, Horrifying Healer, is the most popular commander from the Spider Man set and from this year. It has 5,313 decks total. It's sixth on the list for white. It actually surprised me that a Spider Man card appeared on the most popular of a color list because the set was essentially despised by most Magic players. Number 24 is Mono Blue with 78,881 total decks. I was talking with the guys actually today, and they were mentioning that blue is their strongest color. But when we were growing up, that kind of was true because it had all the best draw engines. It had like 80% of the playable draw spells in Commander. Nowadays, not so much. Counter magic is what I best associate with blue. It's what it does best. It draws good, of course, but so does green and so does white. So blue, for its identity, I feel like has kind of lost itself. But hopefully soon next year we'll look at the statistics and see if that's improved. Urza being the most popular with 17,141 decks. EDH Artifact Commander, its salt score is actually 2.31, which is fairly high. The most popular blue commander from this year is, however you pronounce this dude's name, Vinrix. I don't know. Verbose Host has 2,700 decks. It's 18th place on the mono blue most popular list, so it's not even in the top 10. The next color is mono green, number 23. As you can see, mono color is pretty low on this list. We had like three in a row. There are 79,144 decks in their top 10 for green. Heavy creature and land based strategies, as you can see from here. Finn the Fangbearer is the commander. Poison is powerful in EDH, so it's no surprise that he's at the top with 12,864 decks. Tifa Lockhart is the most popular green commander released this year with 8,274 decks total. She's third on the spot of mono green. Boros is the next color with 93,133 decks total, ranking 22 on our list. Combat and equipment up the wazoo, really, with Boros typically. But honestly, they have impressed me with their versatility recently. You got the Jolly Balloon Man, Raghost, and Feather. They have unique abilities, and I think that Wizards of the Coast has started to explore them more. Because I bet you, if I asked you 5, 10 years ago, what is the weakest two color pairing, you would have said Boros. So it's slightly moving up the list. Arabella, Abandoned Doll from Duskmoor, is the most popular Boros commander, with 15,721 commander decks. Ragos, Deaf Gastronaut, which I love that name, is from Edge of Eternities, being the fourth most popular commander and the most popular commander printed this year for Boros, as 10,654 decks total. I assume it's all for just the Rock Lobster meme decks. Number 21 is Mono Black with 102,739 total decks for the top 10. We finally crack 100K in deck numbers with this. Now, Turgid is the number 4, I just want to point out, with a huge salt score of 2.8. It's one of the saltiest commanders you can play in EDH. Kurik, son of Yawgmoth, has the greatest popularity in Mono Black. Pretty competitive commander too, with 17,902 decks. The second most popular is Sephiroth Fabled Soldier, and it's actually the most popular Black Commander printed this year. It's a really cool card. I made a Feign Death type deck with it where I sacrifice a bunch of stuff, bring it back, sacrifice. I really love this guy. Orzhov is the next one at rank 20 with a total of 102,752 decks. Teysa Karlov is the number one Orzhov commander with 18,578 total decks. She's got to be the top aristocrat commander, kind of doubling death triggers and giving tokens vigilance and lifelink. That's pretty strong. Now, if you looked at the Orzhov list, I think it had a huge variety. It's not just aristocrats. There's life gain, there's tokens, like Ketramos, the new Don, which is the most popular commander printed this year for Orzhov with 7,400 decks. It's an exile tribal, there's aura tribal, so there's a significant like variety in Orzhov. I'm surprised it's this low on the list. Azorius is the next color combination at number 19, and it has 103,136 decks total. Shorakai Genesis Engine is the most popular Azorius commander with 19,702 decks total. It is a pre-con commander, and we've seen a few already, but pre-cons are a huge thing in these statistics. Keep an eye out for them. Now, Mendicant Core Guidelight is the most popular Azorius printed this year, with fourth place on the list. It has 11,149 decks total. Next is a two-color pairing. Finally, a color pairing without white. I feel like all the color pairings so far have been white and another color. Now, at number 18 is Gruul. It's the next with a total of 106,428 decks. Bello, Bard of Brambles, is the most popular Gruul commander, which is actually pretty surprising. It's an anime enchantment deck in Gruul. That's a rare strategy. Normally, it's usually reserved for white. But it is a commander that draws a card, so maybe that has a role to play, and it is a pre-con commander. It has 19,142 decks. Tanuk is the most popular commander printed this year in Edge of Eternities, Tanuk Memorial Ensign. He's 15th on the Gruul list, so he's not even in the top 10. So it's pretty far down. He has 5,274 decks. At rank 17, we get to our final monocolor deck, and that's red. Did you predict that red would be the most popular monocolor? I did not. I thought it would be black for sure, maybe green, but I did not expect red. It is at 107,464 decks total. Now, Krinko is doing the heavy lifting for these numbers here. He's at 33,846 decks total. That's pretty good. Now, Tanuk, steadfast second, which he is the second Tanuk we've talked about in a row. That's pretty funny that that happened. Anyway, he has 5,886 total decks. And I can see why, because giving warp is a really powerful ability. The first three color deck identity is Jeskai with 107,820 decks. Zinnia, Valley's Voice, is the most popular commander in this color pairing, which is surprising to me. I don't see it that often, but it does have a really unique ability, and I think that attracts people, especially when it's a powerful, unique ability. It has 14,345 decks total. Kilo, Apogee Mind is the most popular commander in Jeskai printed this year. He was a pre-con, actually I think both of these were actually pre-cons. He has 9,392 decks total. Number 15 is Rakdos Colors, which has a total of 114,602 decks, with 8K jump from the previous color. So we're kind of starting to jump in numbers here. Valgavoth, Horror of Souls, is a group slug precon commander with nearly 21K decks. Now, Deadpool is number 4 on the list for Rakdos and is the most popular Rakdos commander printed this year. He is relatively high on the salt score. He is 1.90. I found out the hard way. I was actually building with him, and then someone said, I'm not playing you if you're playing Deadpool. And I was like, whoa, 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 wait. Is this guy hated? Is this guy apparently his salt score is pretty high? He's also the first Universe Beyond Secret Layer exclusive on this list. Closely following Rakdos is actually Jund at number 14 with 114,746 decks total. Corvold, Faker's King, is the most popular commander for Jund with 18,004 decks. Not a surprise, he's actually pretty powerful. I remember he was in a pre-con for a Brawl deck. Remember when they made Brawl pre-cons? I think they did it the once and then just quit. Now, third on the list happens to be the most popular junk commander printed this year. It's Hearthole, the World Seed, another pre-con commander with 13,852 decks. We're at lucky number 13. The next color is Simic with 115,066 total decks. I was really surprised by the most popular Simic commander. It's Hackball of the Surging Soul. It has 22,291 decks. Lands and tokens are a common type in Simic. So seeing Hackball, a Merfolk commander at the top, was surprising at first. But then I thought, hey, land and tokens have many options in Simic. It kind of splits the vote. And that is how I think Hackball ended up on top. Similar situation with Bellow. Gruul doesn't animate enchantments. However, it does do lands and it is very creature heavy, but there's like 10, 20, 30 commanders that do that, so it splits it all up. Now, Alloy is the most popular commander printed this year in Simic colors, but it's 26th on the Simic list, so it's pretty far down with 3,698 decks. It is a Universe Beyond Secret Layer exclusive printing of a card. Barely beating Simic by 500 decks, we have Abzan with a total of 115,588 decks, number 12 on our list. The most popular commander, or should I say commanders, at the number 1 spot is Frodo and Sam. This is the first time we've seen partner commanders at the most popular spot. Now, it is also a Universe Beyond deck, and I think this is the first time we saw a Universe Beyond commander, at least, or commanders, I should say, be number 1. Then you got Felithar, the Steadfast, is the most popular Abzan commander printed this year. Yet another pre-con. I think also Frodo and Sam were a pre-con commander as well. Izzet is number 11 with 121,984 total decks. Now, VV, one of the most salty cards, as we mentioned, is the number 1 Izzet commander with 21,893 decks. I guess Rule 0 doesn't work with new commanders, it works on the other cards, though. Now, it's also been printed this year, being the first time the most popular overall and the most popular printed this year are the same card. It's also a Universe Beyond card. Okay, we are in the top 10, everyone. Strap in and comment down below your guesses. Now, Bant is the next one, 10 on our list, and it has 130,120 total decks. Miss Bumbleflower is number 1, to no one's surprise, I'm sure, with 23,383 total decks. She is probably the number 1 group hug commander now, and she was only printed a year ago. Choco, Seeker of Paradise, is the most popular Bant commander printed this year with 11,476 total decks. Number 9 is Tamir with 144,100 decks total, a 14K jump from the last color. Now, this kind of shocked me. Miram Sentinel Worm is the most popular commander with 25,828 decks, a dragon commander, obviously, but also the most popular commander printed this year in Tamir colors. And I think it was printed in Dragons of Tarkir, is Urimi of the Unwritten. And yet another dragon commander. I didn't know Tamir was the dragon commander color. He has 11,978 total decks. Eighth place in my favorite two color pairing in all of Magic is Demir with 143,918 total decks. Yuriko the Tiger's Shadow is the most popular commander in Demir colors, and there's no surprise why. It cheats the commander tax, which I don't think they've printed on another card since. It has 29,231 decks. Golbez Crystal Collector is the most popular Demir commander printed this year with 6,170 decks. He's 18th most popular in Demir. Again, it brings up the idea that there's been a slacking with new, unique, and powerful Demir colored commanders. Come on, Wizards of the Coast, support my guild. Lucky number seven is Golgari at 144,966 total decks. This actually surprised me. I didn't expect Golgari to be so popular, but graveyard decks are huge in Commander, very powerful, and Golgari does it better than any other color combination. Lathril, Blade of the Elves, is the commander for Golgari, the top commander. Surprisingly, having nothing to do with the graveyard, it's Elf Tribal. It has 28,816 decks. Now, Ophelia Viper Whisper is the most popular commander for Golgari printed with this year. It is number 26 on the list, though, so it's way far down. Similar situation with Demir. Its color pairing needs more focus in the next year, Wizards. Come on now. She is at 3,727 decks. The first commander pairing to crack 150k is Soul Tie with 152,598, number 6 on our list. The Wise Mothman is the most popular commander in Sultai with 26,271 decks total. I actually have a cryptid deck based around the Wise Mothman, and I love this commander. He's very powerful. The second most popular Sultai commander and the most popular commander printed this year is Teval, the Balanced Scale, with 21,290 decks total. Another precon commander. Actually, both of these are precon commanders. Top five, everyone. Now, number five is Grixis with 159,131. This actually kind of surprised me. And also, no deck on the top 10 of Grixis goes below 10k, which is, I think, is the first time we've seen that. So it's actually pretty consistent and pretty popular. Sauron the Dark Lord is the most popular with 29,896 decks. Lord of the Rings was a very popular set, so this really doesn't surprise me, and he's very powerful. Kefka Court Mage is the most popular commander printed this year with 16,607 decks. But I will mention Firelord Azula was printed less than a month ago and it's already seventh on the list with 11,619. I wouldn't be surprised if next year it is the most popular Grixis commander. Number four is Esper with 163,491 decks total. Y'shtola Knight's Blessed is the most popular commander for Esper and the most popular commander printed this year. So this is the second color set where this applies. Kind of speaking to the power of Final Fantasy. To top it off, it's a Universe Beyond and a Precon. So it really had everything going for it to make it one of the most popular commanders of the year. Naya is number three on our list, and that actually surprised me. I never thought Naya was a super liked color pairing because it has white and red, so it's Boros and Selesnya, which as you saw, are some of the the worst, or not the worst, I should say, but the least popular color pairings, as 176,652 decks in this Naya color pairing. Pantlaza, Sun Favored, is the most popular commander on the list. It's a dinosaur commander. Dinos are very popular. Tribal decks are very popular. Now, she has 30,134 decks total. Cloud X Soldier is seventh on the Naya list and the most popular Naya commander printed this year with 15,874 decks. It's a precon from Final Fantasy doing powerful things, so of course it's the most popular. Now, my buddy's going to be pretty happy to hear this, but second place on the list is Mardu with 192,433 total decks. Each color seems to be jumping like 10k since we started the top 5. It's insane. Edgar Markov is the top Mardu commander with 39,933 total decks. Kalia the Vast, one of the OG commanders printed in 2011. I actually bought that commander deck when it was a pre-con. She has 30k decks. Zergo Stormrender is the number one popular commander printed this year from Mardu with 12,866 total decks. It is a pre-con commander as well, and so technically is Edgar Markov, and so is Kalia of the Vast. But, we'll talk about pre-cons here in a second. I'm sure most of you guessed it by now, but number one most popular color pairing on the list is five colors. And the top 10, if you look, all of them have over 15k decks in their name. It's a total of 223,961 total decks. Notably, only one is a sliver on the list. It's the first sliver, which actually is that like the go-to sliver commander now? It used to be Overlord. I don't know. I don't know. Has it changed? The Dragon printed alongside Edgar is the most popular with 41,174 decks. A huge drop in second place is Kindred with 27,273 decks total. Now you actually have to go down to the 16th spot to reach the most popular five color commander printed this year, and that's Terra Magical Adept with around 11,000 decks total. Now, the reason why I think that, and obviously Final Fantasy was huge. Most of our list had Final Fantasy cards on it. But I think nowadays they're kind of making five color commanders too specific. And what do I mean by that? Terra, obviously you're going to be playing sagas. What sagas are you going to throw in there? All the best ones. The Spider-Man five color. It's a spider tribal commander, and there's really nothing more you can do with it. Of course, you can get creative. Like the Dragon, I actually have a big fatties deck. I don't have a five color dragon deck with him. A big fatties just means like you're cheating out big, huge creatures. So you could go, but people don't usually do that. So I think the more general a commander is, like Kindred, you can literally put as a commander to so many kinds of decks. So I think they need to focus a little less on the mechanics of the five color and just kind of make it generic good stuff, because when you make it five color, you have limited slots, so you're gonna throw in all the best stuff. What is the most popular color in EDH? We saw mono red was the most popular monocolor deck identity, and five color being the most popular combination overall. But black is actually the most popular color overall. So let me explain how I figured this out. So what I did is I took each color, white, green, blue, black, and red, and I looked at all the decks. So I took all the decks and totaled them up that had white in it. That's five color, Mardu, Bant, Azorius, Mono White, etc. I combined them all and I did the same for each color. And what I found was there's more decks that have a black in them than any other color, almost by 100,000. Now, what's that tell you? How can you interpret this? Well, basically, black might have the best support for it has removal, it has ramp, it has draw, it has good creatures, it has good recursion. So that's why I think it's one of the most supported. Red is the second most popular. Uh, Blue is the third most popular, probably because it has really good draw. Green surprisingly, is the second least popular, and white, to no one's surprise, is the least popular. You saw on the list like Azorius, uh, Boros, Selesnya, they were all at the bottom, and so was Mono White. And I think Mono White kind of gets a bad rep. And I actually saw this really cool post where it was like, okay, white doesn't suck in EDH. What it does best is frowned upon in EDH. It does, land removal. It does stacks pieces. It does taxing effects, which is what white does best. But people do not like playing those in EDH, and it kind of gets roll zeroed. So what are you let? You're kind of left with half a color. Black's not that way, red's not that way, and so on. So I think that is why we see this support structure. Now, for you visually aligned people, here is just a pie chart with those. As you can see, black is the most, but it's only by a couple percent. So there's not this huge skew towards black, even though it's like 100,000 decks almost. That's still a drop in the bucket when it comes to millions of decks. So it's like a 2% more than white. I threw in colorless there, even though colorless is basically not poor colorless. Well, really, colorless can go in any deck, so colorless is the real winner. Now, I want you to take that information and apply it to your own deck collection. What is the most popular color in your deck collection? Comment down below because I want to know. Now, I have a total of 71 decks. I know, it's a problem, but we aren't here to talk about me. We're here to talk about math. Now, drink up because here's a bar graph detailing how many I have and in what color pairing. Now, as you can see, my most popular one is five color, which corresponds with our list because five color was by far the most popular. I have 10 decks that are five color. Now, if you go by mono, red is the next one with seven decks. And I was actually pretty surprised. This year, I built, I think, 11 decks total. Three of them were mono red. So, and I actually talk about all the decks I'm currently building on my Patreon. I'm going to make a video here shortly about it. Now, the color pairing, two color pairing is Orzhov. That's my most popular with six. Now, Green, Rakdos, and Naya all have five decks total. And as you can see, the bar graph, and just I don't have a Gruul deck, Abzan deck, and the few four color decks I don't currently have. Here's the color pie chart for my own color decks. Now, obviously, white and red are the most, but they're only by 3%. So it's not a huge significant. So it goes white, red, black, and then green and blue, and then colorless, of course. But so I guess technically I'm a Boros kind of planeswalker, but really I'm a generalist, a master of none. Here is a image of the top 10 commanders in the last 2 years overall. The Dragon being at the top. Very closely, Edgar Markov is on his tail. Then you got Atraxa. Like I said, I didn't really focus on the four color commanders because I think most people, when they pick a four color commander, they're doing it because they just want the colors. Atraxa is obviously an exception. She just has a powerful ability, but usually they're trying to do some partner pairing just to get the colors. And then Krinko is number 4 in all of Commander. He is pretty powerful, and he's the only monocolor commander on the top 10 list. I thought this was interesting, this list, how it worked out. Sauron, that being at the top, kind of surprised me. Now, if you want to build around these, you totally can. Just go a unique way. Like Sauron, for my channel, I built a Flood of Mars deck where it turns the army token into a Flood of Mars, which is so it's beefed up, and then you get another army. Kindred, you can do almost anything with. Uh, and the list just goes on. You just try to focus on in a unique way if that's something you want to do, or you can avoid them altogether so you don't draw attention to yourself. Now, if you want a list of the top 10 most popular commanders printed this year, but you want to kind of prevent the skewing of data based on how many days they've been released, you want to use the popularity score. It's basically the number of decks divided by how many days elapsed since the commander was made public. Now, Azula is at top with 206 popularity score, and Vivi, who is less than or is almost less than half of that with 104. And then Norman Osborn has 99. Now, I'm not sure if this is the best way to measure popularity, but it is one way to prevent the skewing of the data. Tokens have 171,000 decks in them. Then it gradually goes down from there. The 10th most popular is Lands Matter with 76,000. So it's almost 100,000 K difference. That's pretty huge. Now, one thing you could do is take one of the most well supported, like a token deck, for example, and you can build in it colors that normally don't work. That's how you can use this information for your deck building. Maybe you want to make a mono blue token deck or a mono blue plus one counter deck, or maybe a mono green uh, artifact deck. Artifact's the most second supported. Land matters. You can do a Boros land matters deck. So if you're looking for a unique way to build decks, use this information. These are well supported archetypes and just use them in a different way. Honestly, in terms of the top tribes in Magic, there's not a huge amount of surprise for this list. I am kind of surprised that zombies are as high up on the list, but they did have a zombie pre-con that could have influenced the results. Pirates also being at the top, maybe due to a pre-con. I'd think wizards, I'd think cats or Phyrexians would be higher up than pirates, in my opinion, but it is what it is. Let's talk precons. The precon commander effect is something I've seen while doing research for this video. It's basically saying a precon commander skews the numbers on EDHREC because people buy precons, so they're pretty popular. And that's true, and that's why I mentioned it when it came up, so you can keep it in mind when you're judging this list. Now, for deck building focus, let's talk about the positives and the negatives for these kinds of commanders. So, the negatives, they usually attract more attention at your table. People know your strategy, and many other people will have that same commander, so it's less variety. I've actually sat down at a table and two people are playing the same precon commander. Now, the positives, there are new people to the format. They're easy to build around because you just have to edit it. One of the most popular commander video types, you could say, on YouTube is, hey, here's 5 to 10 upgrades for your precon. And that's pretty cool because that gets people, started with the deck building process, because not everyone has been deck building for decades. Some people are brand new. So these are good for them, and these are usually budget friendly decks, like just adding 10 cards that you already have in your collection and then buying the precon. What are precons? $40 now or something like that. So it's a pretty good budget friendly option. Overall, I think precons are a positive. If we were to tally it up, they're a net positive, in my opinion, because they get the new people in. They usually have commander specific cards. I remember back in the day, everyone says commanders or sets are made for commander, but what they're really saying is there's a lot of legendary cards in the set. They're not made for, you're not seeing a standard set with the eminence ability or any other cards mentioning commander. If you control your commander, those only happen in precons, and I think that's a good thing, because it gives us stuff specific. They very rarely do an actual commander set. What was their commander masters, and then they had that D&D one. They need to print more, in my opinion, but for now all we have are precons, so I think it's a net positive. Now, among the top 50 most brewed commanders, only 14 are Universe Beyond, and 39 among the top 150. This shows an interesting trend, with the first few top notch commanders gathering most of the spotlight, while the rest sink to the bottom of the pile. If you look at the graph here, it's two graphs in one, a bar graph, and As you can see, the most decks is from Final Fantasy. So, however you feel about Universe Beyond, it is popular in Commander. And there's also, the line graph shows the popularity of Final Fantasy being high plus the number of decks. But the number of decks for Spider Man isn't that high, but the popularity score is. So, it hasn't been out a long time. So it's probably going to gain in popularity. Like you saw, Norman Osborn's one of the most popular commanders to come out this year. So it'll increase. I think it'll overtake Tarkir maybe. What is interesting is the commander decks are pretty popular on this list. That's pretty interesting. And Commander Legends is the fourth most popular set, and it came out a while ago. That tells me that Wizards of the Coast should focus on that more. Now, I'm interested to see how Universe Beyond affects us next year because Universe Beyond there's actually making, I think, 7 standard sets, which is insane. We used to have 4, so they increased it by 3 sets. That's a lot of product. So we're going to get a lot of commanders, and it's going to skew the data. Now, a lot of people are being negative on this, and I agree. I agree that they should focus on in universe. I don't think Universe Beyond should be in standard because then it's unavoidable. However, we only used to get 4 sets a year for standard, and I say only. That's plenty. 4 sets is plenty. One a quarter, okay? But we're getting 3 in-universe sets. So what I think they did, they took out 1 in-universe set, which sucks, but they added 4 Universe Beyond sets. So we're losing out on 25% of the in-universe that we used to get, but we are getting 4 brand new sets in exchange. Now, if that is an even exchange, that's up to you. Personally, I like variety. I don't really play standard though. I'm an EDH channel, so I can't judge it based on that. But I imagine it's not good to have 7 sets introduced into a standard format. I imagine they're going to be banning stuff. People are going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be a lot of cards people have to know in order to compete. So it's going to be a net negative for standard. For EDH, we will see. I think they're going to be popular. The Hobbit, people are talking to me about The Hobbit already. That doesn't come out till August. Marvel obviously is going to be big. I think that's going to be better than the Spider Man set. They kind of botched the Spider Man set because they rushed it. It was supposed to be a small set until they realized small sets don't work with the aftermath. And then they tried to increase it. And then there was licensing issues. They couldn't make art for Spider-Man cards, so they put a bagel or a hot dog stand or something. It was dumb how they did it. But I think the superhero one is going to be pretty good. The unannounced Universe Beyond in this image is obviously Teenage Ninja Mutant Turtles. I'm not a huge fan of them. I know about them. They're pretty cool, but I'm not like, oh, I'm really excited for Lauren Eclipse and whatever reality fracture is. That's pretty interesting to me. But overall, here's what they're releasing. Okay, let's interpret more of this data. Now, what can we conclude? Well, for one, more colors equals more power, and more power equals more popularity. And players, they want power in their deck. They want to do things that their deck does. Now, how does this apply to your deck building? Obviously, you can use more powerful commanders to make your jank ideas and more unique ideas work. I've done that in the past. If you want a more powerful, deck, let's say you have a mono green deck, it's pretty fun, but it's a little too casual. Maybe add a few colors and that would boost its power. Let's say you've hammered down your strategy, but you want to make it more unique. You can decrease the colors. And if you want to make it more casual, decrease the colors. If you want more options per card slot, go 4 or 5 colors, of course. But, if you're finding yourself putting all the same staples in a deck, you got your Smothering Tithe, Rhystic Study, Jessica's Will, all that, less colors will prevent this, allowing you to explore other areas of Commander. 3 color decks offer the best balance between power, consistency, and identity clarity. I'll call this the rule of 3. They are easier to build than 5 or 4 color decks, but still provide strong mana fixing, strong draw, and strong removal packages. If a color lacks in one area, the other kind of picks up the slack. If you want to build a stronger deck without overwhelming yourself, try the 3 color slot. Mono red being the most popular mono color kind of surprised me, and it's really interesting. Now, you can choose a monocolor commander when you want a hyper focused, unique, and possibly budget friendly commander deck. They do have strong tribal themes and focused strategies. I always say if you want to make a unique deck, do whatever you want to do, but do it in red. If you have a fog deck, make a red fog deck. If you have a Super Friends deck, make a red Super Friends deck. Eldrazi deck, you name it, you can make it in red. One thing that could improve the monocolor issue for this list is to print stuff like they have done it in the past, like War Room, that benefits you from your commander having less color identity colors. There's also cards they used to print back in the day. They kind of veered away from it. I think they should go back to it where it's like Pyroblast, for example, counter target or blue spell or destroy target blue permanent. Those were pretty cool cards. I think they should lean more into it. I know they're all about the color pairings with Ravnica, the shards, the wedges. Strixhaven does color pairings, but they could lean in like a plane that like where all the colors are isolated and they all kind of compete against each other. That would be pretty cool, and that could fix the mono color problem. Now, although this video is about the most popular, it's supposed to be kind of like a timestamp of what is going on. So next year, when I make a video like this, I can compare them. But don't worry, you don't have to play the most popular. You don't want to be like every other Planeswalker, right? Sure, you have a few powerhouse decks. Don't get me wrong, I do too. But the uniqueness of EDH as a format is that it's a deck builder's paradise. There's a lot more of strategies you could go into. If you go play modern, they're playing all the same 5 decks. In EDH, as you saw, there are millions of decks out there, all with different commanders, all with different strategies. You don't need to do a cookie cutter strategy. Now, if you're a new player, precons are the way to go. But as you go, kind of go on EDHREC, go on Scryfall, build your own deck. That way it has your personal touch as a planeswalker. Thank you so much for watching till the end of this video. Do you feel more powerful? Because knowledge is power, and I just gave you so many numbers and so much information. Some of it was controversial, and that's okay. We can talk about it in the comments. I'm sure everyone's going to be very respect. The EDH community and Magic community can be kind of negative, so I like to talk about the negatives and the positives, throw them out there. Now, quick shout out to my patrons, my paid patrons. I got Brooke, who's Neil, and my new one, Brody. I appreciate your support. Now, if you are interested, check out my Patreon. It has a free membership with a Discord. I'd love to talk to you guys. It also has paid tiers if that's something you're interested in with specific perks. Now, I did a giveaway. Brooke won it. I made a custom made foil proxy of one of her commanders. But you know, giveaways will vary, so keep that in mind. If you like deck building strategies and Magic the Gathering lore, go ahead and check me out at Lamian EDH, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one.